Chapter 18, Emerald.
Uncle, this looks expensive.
Layla was shocked as she looked into the box with bulging eyes. Bill, too, was amazed at the present and couldn't come up with a good excuse. Layla sneered at Bill.
Uncle, did you spend a lot of money?
No, not really. It was not as costly as you think. You're too worried about everything.
Bill stuttered a bit. On the day of the party, the dress Madame Mona had prepared arrived at their cottage. He had believed the courier would send the dress, but who would have thought? The dress was delivered by a young guy who claimed to be a store employee, so Bill assumed that maybe Madame Mona had bought a very special dress for Layla until the clerk handed it off to them directly. The dress was far beyond his expectations after Layla unboxed it. Even for Bill, who knew little about women's fashion and accessories, his eyes could tell that the white dress stitched with golden threads appeared luxurious and heavenly. Likewise with the shoes, gloves, and the necklace. Wait, how much money did I give Madame Mona before? Bill started counting with his fingers. But did she also buy the necklace with the money I gave her? He was perplexed and recalculated once more, but Layla quickly put the lid back.
Why? You don't like it.
How can I not like it?
Then why?
Let's return it. I don't want you to waste this much money just for a one-night event.
Layla seemed to be worried. Her reaction was contrary to Madame Mona's guesses that the gift would make her thrilled.
Layla, if you don't wear this to the party, I don't want to see you again.
Bill's expression becomes upset all of a sudden.
You never want to be indebted to me. I understand your reasoning, but I don't like it if you draw a straight line between me and you, Layla.
Uncle.
I'll throw it into the fireplace if you don't take it, and I won't see you again.
The angry-looking Bill stepped to the front door and fled outside the cottage. He strolled through in front of the cottage. His mind was loaded with late regrets for saying such hurtful things to the child. He didn't mean it when he said he'd never see her again. Bill was pondering whether or not to return when Kyle suddenly appeared in his tailcoat from the other side of the road.
Mr. Remmer, is Layla ready?
Asked Kyle with a sunny visage. Bill mulled for a moment at his arrival. Kyle Ettman, who he had thought was just a child who was always pretending to be an adult, now looked like a grown-ass man in his formal suit.
Well, I don't know.
What? Layla isn't home. The party is about to start.
She's home, but...
Bill sighed. He didn't know how to explain it. But suddenly, the front door creaked open and Layla came out. The two waiting men outside turned their heads and were nonplussed at the breathtaking view before their eyes.
Kyle, do I look weird?
Layla asked with her smirky little meerkat face.
I feel so awkward wearing this dress.
No, you look pretty.
Kyle, who was tight-lipped for a fleeting moment, cut her words. Once again, he complimented her expressly.
You are so beautiful, Layla, I mean it.
Kyle's blushing face melted his adolescent smile. He knew that Uncle Bill was preparing a gift for Layla, but he hadn't expected it would be as posh as this. He was initially apprehensive about entrusting Bill's eyes, which were prone to picking tacky stuff, but for this one...
Hey, Kyle Ettman, wake up!
Bill chided him and patted his flustered back.
You're going in my place to escort her today. That means you have to take responsibility to protect her.
You can do it, right? Of course, Mr. Remmer, Kyle answered with much confidence. I'll make sure to protect her. Bill couldn't hold back his guffaw once Kyle vowed with a beet red face. Kyle took some deep breaths to calm his throbbing heart when Layla gingerly sauntered towards him. He reached out his hand in a polite gesture.
Hey, what are you doing?
Layla questioned the meaning of his outstretched hand, but Kyle seemed unfazed by her wonderment.
We're partners at today's party.
Yeah. So?
Kyle mustered up his courage to take Layla's hand and place it over his arm. We should walk like this since I'm your party's partner. His voice trembled and he stammered a little because of nervousness. Layla hesitated for a moment, lost in thought, before nodding and linking her arms around his. She smiled.
Fine, let's go, Kyle.
Gazing at her gaily smile that was brighter than the sun, Kyle murmured to himself.
This is a moment I won't forget for the rest of my life.
In a nutshell, Layla Llewellyn showed up at the party hand in hand with the doctor's son. Matthias had been busy welcoming the guests when he turned his back to see Layla entering the hall, escorted by Kyle Ettman. Layla's appearance was Hessen's proving ground that he was Arvis's most capable butler. His choice of dress for Layla Llewellyn was gorgeous, but Matthias believed Layla would still be attractive even if she wore the shabby dress bought by the chef. Matthias locked his eyes on her, keeping a watchful glance on her things, from her shoes, her dress, then to the viridescent necklace that embellished her white, svelte neck. The green necklace, which was pieced together by pearls and emeralds, was absolutely stunning. The dress and shoes had been prepared by Hessen, but it was Matthias who chose the necklace. It was just by chance. He was on his way to the hotel for an appointment when he happened to see that necklace. The finely crafted, emerald's luminous green color, gleaming in a display window by the hotel was captivating. Hence, Matthias instructed Hessen to buy the necklace on their way back to the estate that day. Layla abruptly turned her head and she realized someone had cast their eyes on her. Her green eyes, which resembled a lush summer woodland, came to a halt right in front of Matthias's face. Layla slightly narrowed her gaze, but her face shied away in surprise after she recognized who the person was. She clutched Kyle's arm and hid behind his back, drawing her gaze away from Matthias, who only looked at her immovably.
Long time no see, Duke her heart.
Matthias only quit staring at her after someone greeted him. He warmly welcomed the familiar guest with a modest smile and exchanged brief pleasantries. Matthias was capable of completing his job flawlessly, although his mind now was in a different place. When Matthias shifted his gaze back to her, Layla had already been walking away with Kyle to the other side of the hall. Kyle Ettman seemed to be proudly puffing out his chest. When he was escorting Layla, he acted as if she were his and led her around.
This is Layla. She's my friend.
Claudine took Layla and introduced her to another group of ladies.
Hello, I'm Layla Llewellyn.
Layla played her part well with a polite greeting, behaving like a doll, with no will or feeling as she always did. Claudine grinned satisfiedly looking at her. She was pleased with Layla's obedient and kind conduct, then continued presenting her to other people.
Layla's pursuing a teaching career. Isn't it wonderful?
The ladies soon replicated Claudine's ecstatic praising manner, and they began complimenting Layla in droves. But underneath all the praises, it was undoubtedly a tribute to Lady Claudine, who regarded the poor orphan as her friend. Those aristocratic ladies were fully aware that the two could never be real friends. Still, those empty compliments wouldn't smudge Claudine's reputation.
Oh, Claudine, I heard you're getting engaged.
One of the ladies smoothly dropped the topic, as if their talk about an orphan who aspired to become a teacher was over. The topic of Claudine Brandt's engagement now had sparked everyone's interest. Claudine adopted a shy and humble demeanor right away. It wasn't very sensible to behave as if she had become Duchess Herhart when they hadn't officially announced their engagement yet.
Oh look, Duke Herhart is coming here.
A burst of admiration from one of the ladies on the other side of the hall drew everyone's focus to one place. Layla, who kept wearing an apathetic expression the whole time, also widened her eyes in tandem with them. Matthias passed by her, and as might be expected, he stood neatly beside his future bride-to-be. Claudine then wrapped her arms around Matthias. But it wasn't the same with Layla. Her face was noticeably paler than before as she saw them being together. Duke Herhart, they're my friends. Matthias greeted them with grace as Claudine began introducing them. He moved his eyes from one person to the next before stopping in front of Layla's face, who stood at the far end of the group.
She's Layla.
Claudine introduced her while holding Matthias's arm tightly.
You couldn't recognize her, right? She's so different from usual that I almost didn't recognize her either.
Layla flushed with shame at Claudine's veiled sarcasm. She seemed to be deliberately provoking her, as Claudine noticed it. No matter how many slurs she spat at Layla, that emotionless girl would always react differently whenever Matthias was there. Suddenly, a warm voice broke the brief silence.
Sorry, excuse me.
Kyle Ettman, the boy who had been loitering around with a disapproving look ever since Claudine took Layla away.
I apologize for interrupting your talk, but may I take my partner now?
Kyle reached out and pulled Layla's hand without hesitation. Layla seemed a little startled, but she complied. Instead, she looked relieved.
My friends are also looking forward to meeting her.
Kyle eyed Claudine coldly, which contrasted with his gentlemanly manner.
Then I have to give permission. We can't hold Layla for much longer.
Claudine happily nodded her head and glanced at Matthias, who seemed to pay no heed to them.
Thank you, Lady Brandt. And also, Duke Herhart.
Kyle bowed courteously.
Let's go, Layla.
Watching their backs, which were drawing further away, Claudine soon realized something after witnessing Kyle's tender smile. That boy loved Layla. That boy seemed to cherish her, who looked smaller and thinner beside him, who was the same height as Matthias, like his precious treasure. But what about Layla? Through her slightly opened eyes, Claudine studied Layla closely. That girl was smiling back at that doctor's son. Claudine had seen Layla Llewellyn smile in front of her before. Yet, this was the first time she saw her bright and pleasurable smiley face, like a girl who was smitten. So, it's the doctor's son, not Duke Herhart. Then was he the one who turned Layla Llewellyn into a princess? When Claudine was still ruminating in her daydream, Layla and Kyle turned around.
Oh, Layla.
Without realizing it, Claudine called her name. Layla stood still, bathing in the light from the ceiling chandelier.
You're looking pretty lovely today, especially your necklace.
Pardon? Yes. Thank you, miss.
Bewildered, Layla fumbled for her necklace. The long emerald necklace dangling on her chest was finely crafted, in the flower petal shape, and matched the iris color of her eyes. That piece of jewelry suited her perfectly, as if it had been made just for her. The green gemstones also looked authentic, similarly to the white pearls that decorated the edges. The jewel necklace that adorned her slender neck was too lavish and enticing to be branded as a knockoff.
Kyle Etman is just a doctor's son. Could he afford to buy a necklace like that for her? Isn't that right, Duke Herhart?
Claudine grinned as she looked at Matthias.
Yes, she is.
Unbothered by it, Matthias answered her question as if he didn't care.